This is the Gutsy Health Podcast with Janique and Tristan Roney. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Gutsy Health Podcast.
Welcome to the show.
We have a really exciting lineup for you. We have Cecilia Salvesen on the show today, and she has been in high demand for a while. It's just really hard to get our schedules together, which is weird because Cecilia Salvesen is actually my mother. So
and our business partner.
And
so
our business
we see
partner.
her every day. And
right, exactly. So do I call you Cecilia or Mom?
No, Cecilia.
Okay. Welcome, Cecilia. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into essential oils. Did I mention we're talking about essential oils today?
Nope, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
But we are.
We are talking about essential oils. Cecilia's come on to Instagram and we've done a couple lives with her, and then just people just fall head over heels for her because she has this darling accent. So we were like, hey, let's record this for everyone to hear and for it to never leave the internet. So.
But it's not just about her accent, believe it or not.
Well, she's really smart.
She has 30 years of experience in the natural health world, and she has been doing essential oils since before most of you were born.
She's like the OG with essential oils, like before it was cool, before anyone knew what it was.
Here's the thing. Everyone knows an essential oils person, right? Because there's the MLM companies that they're all over the place. And so everybody knows this essential oils person who says, oh, there's an oil for that. There's an oil for that. Mm-hmm. They're probably doing it wrong. I'll just put that right out there now. And the reason why is because they don't have the experience. They don't know all of the nuances of aromatherapy that are necessary to do it right and to do it safely.
Well, not even just experience, because you can play around and call that experience, like the training. Like there are several countries where you have to be a trained, certified aromatherapist. It's not like a weekend course. It's like a year-long course or a 2-year-long course. Cecilia is going to talk to us a little bit more about that. But why don't we let her talk?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's let her talk.
Cecilia, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself and your history and everything to do with this world?
All right. To start, I've just got to let you know how I got into the whole therapy business per se. When Janique was born, right after she was born, I had Graves' disease.
Sound familiar, you guys? Because I got it too. And I talk about that all the time. Go, sorry.
And the way they found out was when I went into cardiac arrest. That's how they found the Graves' disease. And it was at a very serious stage. The doctor told me himself, he gave me his home number, and he said, if anything happens, you call me tonight, because they wanted to treat it there and then immediately. And I said, no, just give me a few hours. I want to go alternative. But because my heart was so bad, racing so much, they couldn't control it. They couldn't slow it down. They couldn't stop it. Nobody would touch me. I was just told that even the homeopath said, no, you're way too much of a risk. We can't touch you. So I had no option but to have my thyroid killed with radioactive iodine. And then after that, I went to the other end of the spectrum and I ended up with myxedema because they left me untreated.
They didn't give you medications or anything?
They never monitored me.
Wow.
They never took another blood test. And you were a baby in arms. You were 4.5 months old and Conrad was just a toddler. And it was so bad that by the time they discovered it, my kidneys were failing. I ended up just urinating pure blood.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
I got to the hospital and I was blacking out all the time. I couldn't walk across the lounge. I couldn't lift my hands. We actually saved money because I couldn't write a check. And so we had money in the bank. I couldn't scramble an egg for Conrad. I would drop 4 eggs before I could even try and crack an egg. And I couldn't scramble it. And it was just terrible. I remember the one day I dropped his eggs and I was just like, I can't do this. I'm just going to have to give it to him. And luckily the floor was clean. And so by the time they discovered it, the doctor said when he took my blood test, he said that I had 45 minutes before. He said it was less than an hour and I would have been in a coma. And so I was in hospital on, I was fed intravenously. I was in a dark room and no visitors. My husband couldn't come, and he was the only one who's allowed to see me, but he couldn't come with the children. He couldn't bring the children, not even my mother. So when I got out of that, the medications they gave me just made me so ill that I couldn't survive. And so I took it to the specialist and I put it on his desk and I said to him, I'm giving you this back. I'm going alternative. And he said, you'll be back. Well, it's 30 odd years and I've never been back.
He's still waiting.
Yeah.
Or dead.
But the thing is, from that, having gone to those two spectrums to the extreme, I ended up with Epstein-Barr. I ended up with encephalomyelitis. I ended up with it resulted in chronic fatigue. My immune system failed. I was a complete wipeout. I had Lyme disease. That came through rampantly. When your immune system is down like that, autoimmune diseases, everything just comes through very, very strongly. My blood test was tested in South Africa and confirmed with Lyme disease. And it was also sent to Germany. There was a German doctor and his daughter. They were experts in Lyme disease, and that came back that both my husband and I had Lyme disease. But my husband wasn't that badly affected because he hadn't been through what I had gone through. So to cut a long story short, I went for alternative therapy and it worked. Within 3 months, I was back to where I was. That was quite a journey, and maybe one day I'll talk about it, what I did and how it all came together for me. But I got out of that and my husband said to me, you know, you've got to study this and see if you can help other people, because his mother and I both were very, very ill, and alternative is what helped us. And so I studied complementary medicine. And at that time, the government in South Africa at that time wouldn't call it alternative because they said it's not an alternative to medicine. It complements medicine. So the college I went to, I studied complementary medicine. And later on, they called it the allied health. And the health therapy had all the medical people, physical therapists and EMTs and doctors and nurses and the dental industry, etc. And the allied had the chiropractors, the homeopaths, and then the therapeutic aromatherapists, therapeutic reflexologists, and therapeutic massage therapists, and all the therapeutic things were thrown into that pot as such. When we qualified, you couldn't work. You could open a clinic. You could work with a medical doctor in a hospital. You could work in another clinic. You could not work in a profession that was not registered. So you couldn't work in a hairdressing salon and have your salon there and do treatments. You couldn't work with a beautician that wasn't registered under the training that we had. So at that time in South Africa, I wanted to bring in essential oils, aromatherapy, because there was really no proper training for it. And I saw the need there. And although I had done courses and had studied it, nothing was done in the way that I felt it needed to be. So I made application with the government. The whole thing took me 12 years, but wow. I got my school registered. I was the first aromatherapy school in South Africa to be recognized by the government. And it started off as a 1-year course and then ended up as a 2-year course. And
was it just aromatherapy, or was it aromatherapy and other things too?
I had 2 colleges. The one college dealt with other disciplines, but my aromatherapy college, it was anatomy, physiology, pathology, pathophysiology, nutrition, business skills, clinic skills, and then it covered aromatherapy. It was the practical and the theoretical. So in the aromatherapy section, the students were taught, so it doesn't matter who they came into contact with, they could treat that person, whether it was a pregnant woman, a woman with a baby, if it was a senior, if it was a child. My college taught people to treat anybody at any age of any age. So we covered the entire spectrum, so that if somebody came to their clinic and with a condition, they wouldn't say, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with this. And just as a FYI, I had a lot of doctors who had their wives come to the college and do the course, because they worked with their husbands, and the husband would do the examination and the diagnosis, because we obviously do not diagnose.
Which is so cool. Just a real quick question.
And then the wife would do the treatments.
Real quick question. Did you find that in South Africa, doctors, mainstream medical doctors, were more open to alternative therapies than here? Because no, it's the same.
A very small percentage.
Okay.
I had a few doctors come to my college and say, what is it that you do? Because I did stay in my box. I was known for not trying to step out of my box into other people's areas.
Yeah.
And I was respected for that. And I had a lot of doctors that I dealt with. I even did lectures. When I say lectures, where we did like a little conference thing with a doctor, where he spoke on the immune system and I spoke on essential oils. So I worked with doctors, and I was known there to a certain degree, and nothing big deal. But there were even doctors that used my Candida diet. There were doctors that came to me and said, tell me about Candida, because this Candida thing is new to us.
Yeah. And back in the early 90s, like no one had heard of it.
Yeah.
You know?
In 1990, nobody had known about it.
Yeah.
And I studied it very, very intensely, because that was one of the things I had to overcome to build my immune system. And so, my involvement was very, very big. And then just as a natural background, it didn't come to me just because of my therapies and my college, but I've always been a very fussy person. I've always been, things must just be right. Things must be, I didn't accept sub quality. That's why I married your father.
I can tell you guys, this is true. She's very fussy.
And so that carried in with me. It was always with me in my profession, and that's why I was successful in other professions. But I carried that with me. So when it started with oils and I found out about the adulterations and what was going on in the essential oil industry, even to this day, if somebody says to me about an oil, if somebody says, can you bring in an oil if it's in demand, and I do bring it in, or if I'm looking for an oil, I can spend not only hours, but I can spend days and even weeks looking until I find the right oil.
Right sources.
When I'm satisfied that that oil is the best I can find, and I can guarantee you that the oils I buy, there may be better oils out there that I don't know about, that I haven't come across, because the industry is huge. But the oils that I have are the best that I can find. And all my oils are certified. They're either certified organic or they are certified vegan. They go through a certification. Some people won't go the organic way because it's so expensive. So certifying it vegan and kosher is still a certification. If they pick up one drop of adulteration or impurity, it's chucked out. They don't accept it. So most of my oils are certified organic. The others are, but they've been through a form of certification. The ones that haven't gone through the certification are the absolutes, like Neroli Absolute and Rose Absolute, because there's a different standard for those oils. Absolutes are expensive anyway. So that's how I got into it.
Did we mention that Cecilia actually currently owns her own essential oil company called Honestly Essential? I talk about it a lot, like at least once or twice a week on Instagram, where I'm like highlighting a product and I'm like, hey, you should be disinfecting your air with this, or you should be using this with this. Or so Cecilia owns Honestly Essential. It's gone through a few names over the past few years, but it's always the same good qualities. So.
Well, it's gone through a few names. When she says Cecilia owns it, Cecilia has shared it now with Janique and Tristan.
Well, no, it's mostly yours. It's your baby, you know.
But when she says it's gone through a few names, is I had my name and I had my logo, and she came and said, Mom, I don't like this.
You need to change it. That wasn't me. That was Allie.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was totally.
that's kind of how it went.
It did not.
And so
did
then I
not.
changed it, and then it was like, no, we don't like this. I mean, I had the
No.
labels
So
done.
you had the therapeutic name. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to go off tangent here. And then you changed it to Solistic, which I loved. And I loved the logo. And you kind of came up with that. And then
Yeah.
Allie was like, no, it needs to be more like minimalist. And so that's when it took us months to come up with something we all agreed on. Like, so it wasn't me. I would have stuck with
thought it was
Solistic.
You would have?
I totally.
my
You and I came up with that name together. Do you not remember
Yes,
us
I
on
do.
the
Maybe,
patio behind your house?
Let's save this conversation for family therapy. And here's one thing we can all agree on, whether it's the name or the logo, whatever. The oils are the
Amazing.
best. The quality is absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
And we would not compromise on that. Cecilia definitely would not. None of us would be okay selling a product that we consider subpar.
Totally.
And on top of that, we're able to do it at a price that will beat most of the big companies out there that are not sold in
let's
Walmart.
talk about that.
And just to let you know, that same quality we take across with our supplements. We
Yeah.
look
Everything we
for
do.
the best.
Oh my gosh, we've been vetting companies for years. But let's talk about pricing in the aromatherapy world, because a lot of people will approach us and say, your essential oils are so affordable. Are they high quality? You know, and I want to discuss that a little bit, because there's been something that's happened in the market of essential oils in the past 10, 15 years that, you know, it's kind of like the elephant in the room, where there's incredible marketing campaigns by these massive MLM companies that have now told people it's only good if it costs a lot of money. Now, it looked like you wanted to say something, Tristan.
No, I'll say it later.
Okay.
I'll save it.
And so I do want to bring to light one, we have a, like, with Cecilia sourcing her own oils, like vetting them, researching them. We've spent a lot of time doing that too. I do want to bring to people's minds, like, we know their overhead, because we know our overhead.
Yes.
And so, like, you can get incredible essential oils and you don't have to pay like a small fortune for it. Because if our overhead is what it is, I can't imagine what theirs is with the massive batches that they buy or the partnerships that they go in with certain farms. Like, so I want to put people's minds to ease that you don't have to spend $80 on an essential oil from a company when you can pay $7 at another company. And I'm not just saying that about our company. There are so many companies like ours, like Rocky Mountain or Butterfly
Rocky
Express.
Mountain Oils, Butterfly Express,
Like,
that I'm not actually as familiar with. But
our
there's
pricing is all very much in the same realm, you know? And so I respect a lot of those other companies too. I obviously think ours is amazing because we know what goes in every single bottle, so we can control the quality.
Yep.
But you guys, you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to, get a high quality oil.
Right. So the big marketing myth in the industry that has been very successfully perpetuated is that the way you know it's a good oil is if it costs a lot of money. And that's obviously in the favor of these companies that are charging lots of money for the oils. But there are actually other ways to figure out the quality of the oils, and it doesn't necessarily correlate with price.
Exactly.
So maybe we can talk about how people can
COAs.
know if they're getting good oils or not.
Yeah. So,
The one thing is you've got to be comfortable with your supplier. You've got to trust your supplier.
Yeah.
You've got to trust and rely on your supplier's knowledge, their sourcing, and what they say that it is true. I want to just tell you very quickly a little story that happened in South Africa about 28 years ago. A woman worked for a very large essential oil company, and she then left and started her own company, and she was selling essential oils way under the other companies, and her business exploded. And what happened the one day was I received my essential oils, and
from her?
No, from my importers.
Okay.
And there was a EO number or a PP number. And when I opened up the bergamot and I smelt it, I immediately said, this is not a true essential oil. And I looked at the label, I phoned the importers, and I said, listen, you've sent me a bergamot, but this is not essential oil. And they said, what's the number on it? And I said, PP, blah, 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 blah. And they said, no, PP is potpourri. EO is essential oils.
Interesting.
And they said, they looked it up, and then they just let the cat out the bag without even knowing it. They said to me, oh, that oil should have gone to
So-and-so.
so-and-so. And I said, but she's an essential oil company. This is a potpourri. And they said, no, she's selling potpourri as essential oils. And I was like, what?
Right,
You don't use potpourri on the body. That's
Right.
for candles and soaps and making actual potpourri. So this is in the early days where I've realized that even people who come across, you got to be comfortable. Your supplier's got to be basically your friend, where they're not going to mess you around.
Totally.
We've said something like this similarly in the past, by the way, speaking about produce and animal products. You should know your supplier, know your farmer.
Know your farmer.
It's the same thing in this situation. Know your supplier, which means there are a couple of places you probably should not be buying your essential oils. One of them is
Walmart.
Yep, the big grocery stores, Walmart. They may have good stuff there. They may.
They have been caught red-handed with fake essential oils.
Several products that have been sold through big chains like Walmart have been found to be not real oils.
Right.
Amazon is the other one.
Another one. Yep, that's
Even
very true.
if you think you're getting a reputable brand on Amazon, there is a decent chance that what is inside the bottle is not the same thing that's on the label.
Exactly.
So it's just not worth doing it to save a couple of bucks.
And there are a few big companies, and because my oils are organic and I'm known for having organic oils, they put out, it's not important that the oils are organic. That's not important. It is.
It's
Bottom line, it is.
because it has to go through stringent testing.
Control.
Like if a bottle is opened under organic seal, like you have to record every single drop to ensure that it is not tainted or anything like that.
But organic is not sufficient on its own either.
Right.
You can have an organic oil that is actually not really very high quality. So what else should people be looking for when it comes to quality?
As far as looking for quality, they need to be able to talk to, like for instance, if people come into the shop and they can talk to us, they can call us and they can talk to us and we can assure them and we can help them. But if you just go and buy over the counter, you don't know what you're buying.
Right. That's so true.
And go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, as far as oils go and pricing, there's one thing in the industry that really ticks me off, and that is Melissa, because the last true true Melissa I smelt was probably was probably 20 years ago.
Wow.
When I was in South Africa and we sold Melissa, Melissa is this tiny flower that's like a daisy. And it's incredibly expensive because the yield, everything is based on the yield. And the yield that you get out of it is incredibly small. So there's a lot of material needed, a lot of work to get very little out of it. Mm-hmm. So what they started doing then was taking the Melissa flower and the leaves, because there wasn't enough of, couldn't harvest enough Melissa to produce a pure Melissa. So they took, now I want to give you just a comparison. If you think of strawberries and you think of the strawberry plant and it has a few strawberries on it. Mm-hmm. And so it takes a lot of strawberries to gather a basket full of strawberries. But if you take the whole plant with a few strawberries, mm-hmm. you fill your basket up very quickly. Mm-hmm. That's what they did. But they never changed the price. Mm-hmm. And now you get Melissa leaves. It's not even Melissa and flower. Yeah. Most of them just says Melissa leaf. And they're still paying the same price.
That's so crazy.
And a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I spoke to somebody in the industry and I said, why is this going on? Mm-hmm. And they said, nobody's questioned it.
Oh.
And I said, but I'm questioning it. They said, you're not big enough.
You're a nobody.
Exactly. And so that annoys me because we paying mm-hmm. this high price for leaves and we shouldn't be.
Totally.
But I can't control that part of the industry.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. I want to move on to a question.
Can we not quite yet?
Oh,
because
totally.
there's one other thing that's really important about quality.
Please bring it up.
That's the certifications that you actually mentioned, COAs, right?
Yeah.
There are ways to test oils to make sure that they have purity and potency. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, this doesn't come up. I think doTERRA kind of makes a big deal about it. They had their whole thing, but they're not perfect either. We won't go there.
There was a big... I'm going there. There was a massive scandal like 2 or 3 years ago where their COAs were actually duplicates of fake COAs.
Well,
they weren't fake. They were other people's.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
The scandal wasn't about the actual quality of the oils. We're not questioning the quality of their oils. The scandal was about who was actually doing the testing and whether it was really being signed off on by the people doing the testing.
Or if it was a fake lab or something like that.
No, they were taking somebody else's results and claiming it as theirs.
Well, anyway, the whole thing kind of faded off into nothing. But the point is that there are these certificates out there and you should be able to ask for those and see what exactly goes in your oil. Will you be able to read it?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
not necessarily
you know what you're looking at. Otherwise, it's a lot of work.
That's why you need to have a good relationship with your supplier, because your supplier should not only be able to provide those to you, but they should also help you understand them should it come to that. So, now, that being said, in all the years that Cecilia has been selling these oils, how many times have people asked you to see certificates of analysis?
Never. And that's basically because they trust me.
So
I say the oil is good. People have got to know me. You know, the thing is my clients are more my friends. You know, they I don't visit with them. We don't go to movies. We don't go to restaurant. But when they come in, I know them. I know their families. I know their children. I've dealt with people here in Provo where their children were little, have got married, had children, and I'm not dealing with their children. You know, so I've dealt with generations, and they know me, that when I say this is a good oil, they know that it's true.
I want to bring up a really important point is rarely do you find an essential oil company owned by an aromatherapist. It's normally like business people that hire aromatherapists to do their formulating. Right. In fact, you've been hired by other companies to do formulating, but rarely will you find the aromatherapist actually owning the company. And that's what honestly essential is. You're the aromatherapist, you've started it, you've done your own formulations, you've written your books. And that's like finding a unicorn basically.
Well, the thing is, I've always said to people, I'm a therapist before I'm a business person. And this is why I'll never make a lot of money and I'll never be rich.
That's why we're here. We're here to help you with that.
Because I really am a therapist before I'm I'm a business person because that's my background, is complementary medicine.
Right.
And so I'm in the business of the essential oils for the true therapeutic side of the clinic in treating people and using it. It's almost like it's a natural medicine.
Yeah.
And not for the cling of the cash register.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
You can ask people that have been coming to me here in Provo for 20 years, have I ever sold them as an essential oil? And they will tell you no. They come in and ask me for an essential oil, but I have never, when somebody has walked in, said, oh, you must buy this oil.
Yeah.
I have never, ever done that.
Yeah.
People will say, Cecilia, do you have this oil? And I'll say yes or no. But
Yep. I love that.
that's
your,
where I come from.
that's totally your character and your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's
It's
your essence. It's
service
how you are.
first, not money. And
Exactly.
I would say that that's something we all have in common, is that none of us is really in this for the money.
Right.
In fact, none of us would choose to get super rich at the expense of our integrity when it comes to anything that we do.
Never.
And, on that note, we have talked about raising our essential oil prices in order to help people see the quality, because there is that bias out there that if it's good quality, it must be expensive.
Right.
So we get a lot of people who question our quality simply because we're so much cheaper than some of the other options. So we've thought, well, maybe if we just double our prices, people will think it's high quality and then they'll come and get it.
We haven't done that yet.
We haven't.
And we're not going to do that. I mean, yes, our prices
No, we won't.
go up when our costs go up, but for the most part, we're not willing to do that to
we
people.
want it available for people,
Yeah.
really. Like it can be such an incredible tool to use in your house without you having to like mortgage your house,
And the other day, somebody came in and said, oh, your myrrh was expensive before, now it's not. And I said, yes, I sourced a very good one for less, so I bring the price down.
Yeah.
And the same with the yarrow.
Yeah.
And so
we'll change our pricing according to our sources.
Exactly, according to what we get it for. So if we get it at a good price or I get a discount, I give it, I pass it on to the clients.
Sometimes the opposite also happens, right?
Yeah.
There have been oils that have become very expensive in recent years because the sourcing has become a lot more expensive. And we've had to either increase our prices or just discontinue the oils altogether because they're just outside of the feasible
vanilla
range.
is one. I've discontinued vanilla because people want vanilla. But the minute they see how expensive it is, they don't want to.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I believe I was told that a couple of years ago, Coca-Cola bought up all the Tahitian vanilla.
Oh, great.
And so the price of vanilla has gone through the roof.
Yeah, I believe it.
Same with sandalwood. I'm not even going to stock that anymore.
Well,
because
and
it's so
sandalwood has
expensive.
another issue in terms of sustainability because it is, and this is an issue with a lot of essential oils, by the way. It's not necessarily a sustainable industry for some of these plants because the demand is so high and the yield on these plants is so low
like, for instance,
that we're threatening the status of these, especially with all the fires going on in Australia now.
Oh my gosh. And
sandalwood primarily comes from Australia. So
yes.
it may not be available anywhere soon, but the truth is that even without all of the fires going on in Australia, sandalwood is in danger because of the mass production of these oils.
Yeah. In fact, one of these big companies, one of the MLM companies I won't name, they actually were caught red-handed illegally importing one of these rare species. I don't know if it was sandalwood.
It wasn't sandalwood. I can't remember what it was.
But they were illegally importing it for, again, because of money. Right. And there is this ethical world that most people aren't aware of. Like, let's bring up sandalwood. Like, you have to wait for sandalwood to grow for 30 years before you can harvest it for essential oil use. And when you harvest it for essential oil use, then there is a smuggling industry that tries to get it from an unethical source. Now, when we source sandalwood, it's actually been vetted through certain, they do like biddings on it. Like you'll bid for a batch versus just like take it all or whatever. So you have to bid depending on how much your harvest yields that year.
Right. And that's the most important part, is that it's a sustainable process where you're not harvesting any more than you are planting, so that it's still going to be available 30 years from now for our children and our children's children.
Exactly.
Well, about 27, 28 years ago, my importers in South Africa told me that there was a shortage with sandalwood because two rival plantations, the one set the other one alight.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
no.
And it takes 30 years to grow the trees.
Oh, that's
And
so tragic.
I
So
know.
this isn't a
This
new
is all
thing.
about
This
money.
isn't new.
Like, this makes me so sad. Oh my gosh.
All right. So should we move on to the usage side of things?
I want to shift to the number 2 question over, like, first it's the quality, like, how do we know if it's good? The second one is, can I ingest these oils? Please, let's talk about that.
All right. Can I, before we go on to that, just answer one more thing?
Yes.
And that is, if you buy an essential oil, I'm going to give you an example like geranium, and your last bottle of geranium you had smells different to your new bottle of geranium. It's because the things that will change the fragrance, like in the furniture industry, dye batches are never exactly the same. And so there can be differences. Well, in the essential oil business too, seasons change.
Totally.
Seasons play, and then the harvesting and where it was grown, all of those play a factor. So don't think that if your rose or lavender or geranium, there's so many different species on the market. If there's a difference in fragrance, it's not a good one, because it's not like that. It's just, it depends on the season and the harvesting of it.
I remember someone from Florida ordered jasmine from us, or like, does jasmine grow in Florida? They ordered a plant that grows in Florida, like an essential oil, and they sent it back, and they're like, this doesn't smell like what we have here in Florida. And I remember thinking, well, because it wasn't harvested in Florida, it was harvested in a foreign country, like there's different terpene profiles. And so
different chemotypes, right? Where some are going to be very heavy in one terpene and some are going to be very heavy in a different terpene.
Exactly.
It's the same species, but it's not the same region. It wasn't grown at the same time. There's lots of different factors, like Cecilia was saying.
Exactly. So,
all right. So now with the ingesting.
Yes, let's talk about that, because that is like everybody. So another cultural issue around essential oils that's come up in the past decade is people are ingesting essential oils left, right, and center. And we really, really, really need to educate the public on this. So let's go.
All right. So here again, I don't come from the angle of the more I can get people to ingest it, lick it, capsulate it, smell it, apply it, diffuse it. The more I sell, the more I make. I don't come from that background. I come from the clinical therapeutic background, where my essential oils are my natural medicines. They are oils that are anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antibacterial. They relaxing, calming, soothing. They uplifting, stimulating. And so I use them for those specific uses. When it comes to ingesting, and I get asked that question all the time, there's no such thing as a food grade essential oil, because people say, is yours therapeutic grade or is it food grade? Essential oils are essential oils. How you use them, you've got to use them with knowledge. You've got to use them. There are certain oils. When my children were growing up, Shanique and her brother Conrad, I used essential oils as my medicine when they were sick. Shanique was 14 when she had her first antibiotic, and that was because I was at a conference in Rome. I was speaking at a conference in Rome, and her father was looking after her, and of course, not feeling well, he panicked, took her to the doctor, and came back, and the doctor had given her antibiotic, and Shanique was very, very happy. She said, Mom, guess what? I had antibiotic, because she was then the same as every other child in the school. Conrad He was 15 when he had his first antibiotic, and I actually got that for him because he came back with a huge tick bite on his leg, and I didn't want Lyme disease, and I had the doctor administer antibiotics immediately. But otherwise, essential oils were my medicine. But you've got to know what you can ingest, how much, and definitely what you can't ingest. The one thing you've got to be careful of with children, you cannot just give essential oils to children. Their livers are very tiny. Their livers have to battle. These oils are incredibly strong. I have photographs, and I have treated people whose skin has been burnt from the use of undiluted essential oils. Now, if you ingest those essential oils just because they put in a capsule and you swallow it, doesn't mean to say it's going to protect your stomach lining on the inside, or from there when it's absorbed it goes to the liver, it's going to protect it. There's no research been made on the effect of essential oil on the internal organs of the body. But when I have seen what oils have done to the external organ of the body, which is the skin, there are many, I can show you photos that are pretty horrific. And so you've got to know what oils you can take, how much, and the ones that you shouldn't take. And so I don't say that you cannot. We eat more essential oils in our food and in the food industry than we even know about. But and the quality of those oils, I really don't know. But there are oils that treat bacteria. There are oils that treat viruses. There are oils that can help a lot. And I've used them myself, but not just every day and for everything. When my kids have been sick, that's when I've used it. And when they've needed it, it's my medicine. It's not just my everyday. And this is where a lot of companies that want to push the oils and sell them, and it's a business, and it's marketing. Marketing is incredibly clever. And so the way that they can market it and in all sorts of things, it's not where I come from. So if that is for some people out there, it works for them, that's good. I don't mind that. I have nothing against it. You must just know how to use it. And Tristan, you were telling us a horror story not so
oh yeah.
The one I was telling you about earlier today?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was on Facebook today, and I saw somebody giving advice to a mom to give their child, a 6-month-old child, essential oils to take internally. They mentioned a very specific product and said, "Oh, your child's been sick. This is the best thing to do.
Please don't do that.
Give them these gel caps full of essential oil."
And this is probably a person who sells essential oils, has never been trained other than like on a weekend training.
Yes.
Remember, you guys, Cecilia trains aromatherapists, and their courses were like 1 to 2 years long, so
it was 2 years, some were even 3.
Exactly. So people who took like a weekend course, signed up with a company, and is now giving health advice for you to telling you to give your kid an essential oil to ingest, that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah. And saying that it's so pure that it is safe for internal use, that is not true. Essential oils are solvents, right?
They're highly concentrated chemicals.
Yeah. Their chemical properties cause them to dissolve things.
Exactly. Exactly.
It can dissolve a toothbrush.
It can
put it in a plastic cup. It will eat a hole through within a minute.
So Cecilia has a product that we love. It's called Sparkle, and it's a tooth oil, and it's basically essential oils with, is it coconut carrier?
Yes, it's a toothpaste replacement.
And it's fantastic. It does an amazing job of keeping your mouth clean and balancing the bacteria in there. But it will do a number on your toothbrush. We've had toothbrushes, Janique and I,
just
that
disintegrate
they
completely,
fall to pieces after a couple months of it. So don't put it in your body. Just don't do it. It's not worth it unless you are working with someone who has been well trained. And I don't mean they signed up with a company. They went through a proper certification training and learned what is safe and when it's safe to do it. And if they give you the advice that it's okay in certain situations, then maybe in that situation, it's okay for you to do it.
Please don't listen to anybody who tells you to put pure peppermint essential oils on a newborn baby's spine because it's going to increase the immune system. That's a load of BS.
Yeah, please be careful. So you guys, if you are getting advice from actually our members, every time they ask like, hey, my child is sick, what would you recommend? We recommend like an herb or a supplement. And then they're like, what essential oils would you recommend? We're always texting Cecilia. You know, we're always, so members, if you think we're that smart with essential oils, you're wrong because it's all Cecilia's knowledge. We would never give you advice just by ourselves. We go to the expert first. So,
For sure.
And I think that's why people love your company so much, Mom, is because, or Cecilia, sorry, trying to keep this professional, is because you give them the right advice and they can trust you and they know that you have the experience, you have the training, you know what potential side effects might happen if they are. So if anyone ever tells you to ingest an essential oil, ask them what their credentials are, please. Because it can be really detrimental to, I mean, probably once a month you get someone calling you saying, oh my gosh, so-and-so is throwing up. What should I do? Yeah. Or so-and-so put undiluted tea tree in their daughter's ear and now their ear's burning. What do I do?
Oh gosh.
This happens all the time. And my mom is so sweet and she's hilariously snarky too, because she'll say, go to the person who sold you that oil and ask them. And I die 1,000 deaths because I think it's hilarious that she does that.
But it's true. If you are going to sell somebody a product, you should know enough about it to make good recommendations.
So, yeah.
You have a responsibility to the people you are selling products to know your stuff and to keep them safe.
Yep. So every time someone comes into our store and says, can you ingest these oils? We say yes, and please don't.
Well, we don't actually say yes because sometimes
you can ingest them.
Some oils are, well, yeah, you can put them in your mouth. It doesn't mean it's okay.
Right. So anyways, you guys.
So the point is though, that yes, our oils are pure, just like any of the companies that say you can take them internally, but we don't tell people to take them internally unless they are working with us very closely and we know exactly what's going on.
And if I can just mention, don't put essential oils in any of your orifices, whether it's ear, up your nostrils, any
vaginally.
other place. Yes. Definitely not undiluted, and definitely not unless it's been instructed by a qualified therapeutic aromatherapist.
Exactly. They don't actually do they have courses in the United States to train aromatherapists and get a certification? Because in South Africa they do, England they do.
There's
Australia.
a certification though, it doesn't mean anything, right? There is no accreditation, there is no licensing in America when it comes to essential oils or aromatherapy.
But there is accreditation in other countries like South Africa, like England, like Australia.
Sure. So if you're in a different country listening, maybe your country has something like that. But here in the United States, there is nothing like that. So
that's probably why we are in this issue to begin with, where the blind's kind of leading the blind and we're all just putting essential oils everywhere.
But just because you can't get licensed or accredited doesn't mean that you can't get trained.
True.
And there are some very good trainings out there that can help you learn how this actually works and how to do it safely. Exactly. And if you're interested in helping people in this way for a living, please do that. Don't just go sign up with a company and buy your starter kit and start peddling the stuff.
Right.
Learn about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Get trained in it. Cecilia, you do trainings.
Yeah.
You also have a book. Please tell us about that.
All right. One thing that is in the book, and I'll tell you about the book, but just going in with this, one thing that's in the book as well is it's very easy to know where to apply essential oils. People always say, where do I apply the essential oils? Do I put it on my feet? The feet is not the only place or the best place. It is a place to put it because that is the point of blood's return back up the body. But you always want to go to the area you want to treat, nearest to the area you want to treat. So if you've got a headache, you apply the essential oil to your forehead or the back of your head. If you have an earache, you put it around the external part of the ear. If you've got stuffed sinuses, you can do a steam inhalation, and you can apply essential oils on the frontal cavities, the maxillary cavities. Don't try the ethmoids, it's too close to the eyes. You can gargle with it if you have a sore throat. You can apply it to your throat. If you're coughing, to your chest, apply it back and front. We had a client who had our respiratory care essential oil, and it's a mix, and he applied it to his chest and the back where he could reach. And when he went back, because his x-rays showed infection, and when he went back and had the x-rays done, the area he couldn't reach was still the one spot where he showed infection.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
So always apply it front and back. If you've got abdominal issues, apply it to the abdomen. So if you have a stomach ache, or if you've got uterine or ovarian problems, apply it to the pelvic area. If you've got muscle pain, to that muscle. So always go closest to the area you want to treat. So about the book, just to tell you a little bit about the book. This book was used in the college. It was the textbook that we used to teach the students. So it covers a lot of things. I can't say it covers
What is it called?
everything. It's called Aromatherapy for Natural Health and Beauty. My college in South Africa was called Natural Health and Beauty. So it was an aromatherapy for natural health and beauty. And it covers the basics of the history and extraction methods, but then it covers some carrier oils. In those days, there were a lot fewer essential oils and a lot fewer carrier oils, but the government required a certain amount of oils that needed to be covered. I don't know if it was 56, but I think there's more. I always did more than what was required. And so it covers the carrier oils, the difference between carrier oils and essential oils, and then the difference between carrier oils and mineral oils, and then the properties of the carrier oils. And then it also covers essential oils. There's a lot of essential oils. It's not every single one. There's also a lot of new oils on the market. But in there, I also teach you, that when people come, you don't have to learn every single oil off by heart as to what their properties are. And in that book, I teach people, and this is absolutely unique to me, where I teach people the grouping of essential oils. So if it's a flower, what it does, if it's a tree oil, if it's a herb, if it's a spice oil. And so any other new oil that you might have, that you get, if you can group it into a flower, a tree, a spice, a grass, you will be able to basically know what those oils do for you. And then it covers, there's a lot of recipes in there. There's a lot of recipes. It covers fragrance and beauty, even massage and labor and pregnancy, and it just covers a lot.
It's a great book,
and
you guys.
Chemical constituents.
It's so dense with information.
I think it's fair to argue that if you read this book once through from cover to cover, you would know more than 99% of the people trying to sell you essential oils.
It's true.
So,
would you ever be interested in teaching a course on this?
I'm always interested in teaching.
Because I think we should,
That's
in the springtime,
that's my background.
we should do a weekend course or something, because I know there are so many moms out there and women out there who just want to help their kids and they don't know how, and they want to get the right information.
I would love to teach.
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's my background in the college. I taught anatomy, physiology, pathology, pathophysiology, essential oils, nutrition, covered everything that was taught there. I was able to teach. So I would love to teach people.
Also, guys, sorry about the noises in the background. So Tori was calling 911 on the phone.
Oh, great.
She did it twice.
We have that to look forward to in a few minutes.
So that's why you heard a whole kerfuffle in the background there. What else is really important that people want to hear about?
So there's something that was mentioned earlier that I wanted to circle back to when it comes to safety with essential oils, and that's the general overuse of essential oils. Even if you're using them safely, it is possible to create problems for yourself if you're doing it
over and over
constantly.
It's kind of like
my book covers minimum and maximum and how much you should use, males and females.
You guys, if you want to buy Cecilia's book, it's actually at Honestly Essential. So go to www.honestlyessential.com and then just look for it on the webpage there, because it's an incredible resource to go to all the time.
But on this topic of overuse, I know actually multiple aromatherapists who cannot be in the same room as lavender essential oil when it's diffusing, because they've worked with it so much in the past that they've developed a sensitivity to it.
Exactly.
It's like an allergy for them. And so they get in a room where it's diffusing and it's like a chemical sensitivity. They just have to get out of there.
And if I can just elaborate on that, in South Africa in the college once, there was a mother that came and her daughter at home was allergic to lemon essential oil. And before she came to the class, we made sure everything was wiped down. There was no lemon in the classroom, and no lemon was used in any of the mixes. The students were all happy with it, because even if the mother got it on her and took it home, the child had a reaction. And about not even, I think, 2 weeks ago, one of our clients came in, and it was within minutes. She was waiting to have a treatment done. Within minutes, her son's lips started swelling up.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And he's allergic to lemongrass. And we had lemongrass hand lotion, the hand lotion that I make. We had that in the restroom. And I asked her if he'd been in the restroom, and she asked him, and he said no. But just the chemical constituents in the air caused his mouth to swell up. She had a epinephrine
EpiPen,
yeah, the EpiPen, and she had to take him out immediately.
Wow,
so you guys, this is really important to bring up, because think of your newborn babies. Now you're smothering them with essential oils. You're overloading their bodies. You're overloading their livers, potentially causing autoimmune reactions to essential oils. That would be extremely tragic, because let's say that newborn baby starts reacting negatively to essential oils, and then that baby turns into a 3-year-old and is sick. Now you can't use essential oils when they're sick. So we're not saying don't ever use essential oils, be extremely careful. But what we're saying is this overuse
just know what you're doing
is going to irritate their system. It's almost like if you're ingesting essential oils every day and smothering it like in high concentrations all over your body every day, it would be the same as like taking ibuprofen every single day. Like that wears and tears on your body over time and can create issues, liver toxicity being one of them. But then it also loses its efficacy. So you have to take more and more and more at the expense of your body. And so essential oils, like we said earlier, are extremely concentrated. And so utilize them when you need to, like in like situations where someone is sick, somebody needs a hard punch to their immune system or to a bacteria or a fungal infection. One question I think people ask all the time is, well, can I drink my lemon essential oil? And what's your response to that? Because I think it's brilliant.
Right. The thing is, if you did it now and again, if you were constipated and you wanted to use grapefruit and put 1 drop into 4 cups of water, and drink it to help your constipation.
It's a lot of water.
Hypothetically, of course, this is not a
like
recommendation.
It's like, or even 2 cups of water. But what I'm saying is you don't go and put 10 drops,
right.
like 1 drop to a large amount, and you do it now and again. You must remember that the lemon essential oil, grapefruit, mandarin, orange, all of these citrus fruits, the oil does not come from the fruit. So when we eat the fruit, what do? We peel it, we throw the peels away, and we eat the fruit. What do they do with the essential oils? They take the peel, and if you take that peel and you bend it, and you see things squirt out, that's not even the essential oils. If you put a flame to it and it sparks, that is the essential oil. So those essential oils in the skin, they're there for a purpose, and they're there to protect the fruit. Everything, nuts have got their own protection as insect repellents and pest control, and so do citrus fruits and flowers, and everything in nature has to protect themselves from the surrounding environment. And so these things that are in the skin is there to protect the fruit. And now we're extracting it and we are ingesting it. So it's not the fruit that you're doing. Yes, it's got the fragrance and it's got the taste, but you have to be so careful. It doesn't mean to say you can't, because it's used in the food industry. Sometimes we put the zest of the orange into baking, but you do a little bit of the zest into the baking. You don't do a whole lot of oranges. And with the essential oils, they use a whole lot of fruit to get the essential oils out of it. So again, just know what to do and how to do it. And I'm so excited just talking about all of this that I would love to teach people. So if people are interested, let's get together and let's all learn.
Schedule a class, like a weekend class or something like that, that can be attended in person as well as online.
Yes,
because I know there's a lot of people out of state that would be really interested too.
Oh, we can. That's what the internet and everything is there for.
Exactly.
We can stream it, live stream it.
Yeah. Anything else we want to bring up? I think we got the core of everything.
I think we kind of covered it. So hopefully, if you've been listening, you've learned that you don't have to pay out the wazoo in order to get good oils, that there are ways to get good oils that are not crazy expensive. And the key is really knowing your supplier.
Yeah.
We've learned about safety when it comes to oils. Don't feed them to your children. Don't ingest them willy-nilly. Don't diffuse them constantly because it smells good. We've also, by the way, we actually didn't talk about this, but essential oils do work. People love to make fun of essential oils. There's that meme out there. Don't make fun of your kids for believing in Santa Claus. You believe in essential oils. Have you seen that? And it's funny, but the fact is essential oils do work. There is all kinds of research out there showing the efficacy of these. Yeah. And if anything, these potential health risks that we've talked about are evidence that they do something, right? This is not a placebo effect going on. Yeah. But using it properly really is the key.
I want to talk real quick about diffusing, because you said don't diffuse it willy-nilly. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room, because we diffuse, especially in the wintertime, quite a bit to disinfect the air.
Sure, but we're not doing it every single day.
No, we don't do it every single day. And I will admit, again, like when my kids are sick, I am diffusing in their rooms like a highly concentrated amount of eucalyptus when they're coughing, right? But only when they're coughing, only when they're sick, So use it in times of need, when the body is in distress and you need to kind of shock it into action. That's what the essential oils do. They provoke a reaction in the body. And so when you need some kind of provocation, is that the right word?
Sure.
So you guys know what I'm talking about. When you need that catalyst, that's what the essential oils are there for. Not everyday, stress and strain.
They're not your personal Glade plugin.
Right.
Although they might be better than a Glade plugin.
They're so much better than a Glade plugin. Are you kidding? I love to, even on not during the wintertime, I like to diffuse things once every other day.
Absolutely. But here's my point. My point is that just because an essential oil smells good doesn't mean that you need to have that smell constantly
24/7.
around you. I'm actually nose blind to a lot of essential oils now because of just working in the shop.
Right.
I'm sure that everyone at this table is in the same
so
boat.
true.
But the smell of clean is nothing. We talked about that with Ryan Blazer, right? When
Totally.
I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but
Yeah.
he says the smell of clean is nothing. You don't need to have
Something
sense in the air to feel like things are clean.
Right.
Open a window, let in
Yes.
some fresh air. Let that be your
neutral.
let
like
that be
your
your
good-
Glade plug-in.
Exactly. Do you have anything else you want to say on diffusing essential oils?
Yes, essential oils. There are a lot of essential oils that are hazardous and not good for pregnancy, but diffusing essential oils are okay.
Great.
It's pretty safe to diffuse essential oils. Just as Tristan said, don't overdo it.
Go ahead.
The last thing, consent is also really important with essential oils. I hear stories all the time of people taking it to their children's school and having the teacher diffuse it in the room.
I don't think they're allowed to.
That they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. But don't do it. Don't even try to do it. We just talked about some situations where people are so sensitive to it that they could literally die from it.
Right.
So don't expose other
Yes.
people to it without them knowing
Right.
or without them having the chance to say, I don't want to die.
And talking about essential oils to school, I'm going to close off with this. When Janique was 7 years old, she was so sold on tea tree. It was her friend's birthday and she was going to the birthday party. And I said, come, we got to go and get her a gift. And she said, Mom, can I give her a bottle of tea tree? I was like, no, Janique, she wouldn't know what to do with it. Nor would
You guys,
her mom.
I have like memories burned into my brain of like going to hotels or public bathrooms and my mom is disinfecting toilets and bathtubs with tea tree and like the whole hotel room would smell like tea tree. The public bath would smell like tea tree. Like tea tree is forever burned in my cerebellum. So, so there you go. This is great. I think we need to do a follow-up podcast talking a little bit about general rules, like what should be used for pregnant women, what should be used for children, how much.
How to properly dilute it in a carrier,
Yes.
things like
Like
that.
the more
Those are things
technical.
we'll cover with the training.
That's
too.
true.
Yes.
We should do the training for
I
that.
think we can do like a little sneak peek and then go into depth, like go really deep with the trainings and stuff. That would be really cool.
In the meantime, if you want to get the book, once again, you can get it from honestlyessential.com,
Yep.
as long with all kinds of essential oils that we carry and sell. And if you have questions about proper essential oil use, the book's definitely a good resource, but you can also reach out to us and
Yep.
we'll be happy to help you out.
Hey, can we give people a coupon code for listening if they want to buy something?
Oh, absolutely.
What
So
code do you want to use?
Why
I'll
don't we
make sure I
say
get it in there.
podcast love?
Podcast love.
So if you guys
Well,
want
why
to go
not podcast aroma?
podcast aroma, there
Okay,
you go.
it is settled. So what do they get with this coupon code?
So what do you say?
20% off.
20% off, you guys. And this
Wow.
will only be available for like the month after this has been released. So,
Yes.
or a couple weeks, I don't know. So podcast aroma is your discount coupon. And Cecilia, before we log off, what should people buy with that discount coupon? What are some of your favorite essential oils that you think every household should have?
Well, I think that a lot of people are already going to have these, but eucalyptus and peppermint, lavender, lemon, not necessarily, you don't have to go for the ones that you don't know. Stick with essential oils you're familiar with and that you know how to use them. And you can also, if there are oils you desire, you can get them and then learn. We can teach you how to use them. But basically, A to Z, any of the oils.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, if you guys are local, we're trying to get all of Cecilia's products on Honestly Essential, but most of you don't know this, but Cecilia actually formulates face creams. Her anti-wrinkle is the #2 best-selling product in our store behind the CBD. So it's phenomenal. Like people have been coming in for like literally a decade, like utilizing this cream over and over and over. And if you look at Cecilia's skin, you're almost 70
Yeah,
you're
this
70
year.
this year.
This year. Yes.
None of your business.
Sorry, guys. I mean, she's almost 40. So no, but like she looks amazing. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, your mom's almost 70. Cecilia's almost 70. And I'm like, I know, it's amazing. She formulates amazing face creams, body lotions, deodorants, perfumes that are all 100% natural. We used to have the slogan, so natural you could eat it, but we had to take that off because people were trying to eat it. And we're like, please don't do that. Like you shouldn't be ingesting essential oils. Like, but there's such incredible products.
The face cream has been the number one bestseller for 30 years until we started with the CBD.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, you guys.
There are over 100 products that I formulate. So these few that we've mentioned, there's 65 on a list that I have, but I can formulate for anything and everything.
Great. And like I said, my favorite is the sparkle tooth oil. That stuff is fantastic. And you don't even have to rinse when you're done.
That stuff is amazing. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, go to the website, check it out. Let us know if you have any questions. And otherwise, I think that we are ready to wrap it up. So thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with people. Share it with all those people trying to sell you essential oils and tell you it's okay to drink them. And please leave us a review on iTunes. What else? We are launching a kind of a membership that goes with the podcast. So you can kind of help support what we do. You may not know this, but it is very, very expensive for us to run this podcast. And we are most certainly not making our money back on it. We just love to share and we love to kind of get this out into the world so people can benefit. But we are coming up with this program so that you can help support us and you can kind of donate just a little bit of money every month to help us keep doing what we're doing and to expand what we're doing. And if you're interested in doing that, then you can go to gutsy.ch/support. SUPPORT.
You're looking at me like I know. And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what the website is.
And anyway, we'll tell you more about that as we get further into it. But that's it for this week, unless there's something else you wanted to say.
Oh, I was going to say, with that whole support thing Tristan was telling you, we're actually going to do extra podcasts, so like the Q&As after the podcast. So it's the podcast after the podcast.
There will be perks depending on which support tier you choose.
Exactly.
So go to gutsy.ch/support to learn more about that. Also,
you guys, our cookbook is out, our How to Heal book. So you can go online. What is the website to order the book?
So the How to Heal book, that is gutsy.ch/how-to-heal.
Oh, great. So you guys can order that. There's 90 plus recipes in there, plus a whole 1 month like meal prep protocol and menu plan and 6 chapters on illness and how to heal your body, basically. That was written mostly by Cecilia and Tristan.
And you guys, the book is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. We were so nervous about how it was going to come out. It came out so beautiful.
It really did. And it's got like a golden coil binding and like
I knew you'd mention that.
I spent like weeks trying to find a book publisher.
We found the only publisher in America apparently that uses gold coil binding.
And I'm really proud about that fact. So it's really easy to open your book and utilize your recipes. And it really is beautiful, you guys. So if you are interested in buying that, you can buy that. And you mentioned reviews, right?
Yep. Leave a review.
Please leave a review.
Thank you.
Most of you don't know this, but I had to step away for 2 minutes because Satori needed the bathroom. So this is like the background noise of what goes on when we do these podcasts. You guys, we're very real.
We're professionals.
We're not. We're not professionals at all. Cecilia is a professional. We're just trying to figure this out as we go. So Cecilia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll do this again. We'll do like another follow-up with all the nitty-gritty details about essential oils. Thank you. And thanks for listening, you guys.
Bye.